Hey, what's going on, everybody? How are you doing? Happy Tuesday evening, chat. We are a little bit off schedule because Polaris Dawn was supposed to fly early in the wee hours of the morning for me. Basically, it was supposed to actually launch here in like 4 hours from now. But we just got word not even an hour ago, well, maybe like about an hour ago, that SpaceX is standing down today. They're scrubbing the Polaris Dawn mission until later this week for unfavorable weather conditions in the Dragon splashdown zones in case of like an in-flight abort and things like that. So crew safety, of course, is always the utmost important. So they are standing down for a subsequent flight later this week. So yeah, we are going to do, well, you know, typically I stream Kerbal Space Program, but we also do these space news segments when there's a good pile of space news. And guess what? We have a good pile of space news. And so I think it'll be good for this sort of shorter stream, since we're not going to be covering Polaris Dawn, to just go ahead and get through some of the space industry events that have occurred. So we are going to kick things off going into our go no go poll news segment, if you will, in order to cover all of this and transition. Yeah. All right, chat. So we have a good bit of news to cover today from the space industry. We're actually going to be doing things a little bit flip-flop from last time. We're actually going to be covering the no-go news here first because it's kind of significant. It's kind of significant, the no-go news, basically the bad news that is coming out of the space industry. And then we will get into our go news, which is essentially our good news. But yeah, we're going to be covering things that you may or may not be familiar with. First and foremost, we have another Office of Inspector General, or OIG, report coming out from the OIG office for NASA, for particularly the mobile launch platform number 2. It's not good, chat. It's not good. The MLP launch, or the MLP-2, is currently estimated at being like 4 times the cost originally expected. So it's massively over budget, and it was supposed to be ready 2 years ago now. 2 years ago it was supposed to be ready. It's still not ready, and they're still saying it's going to take like another couple of years to get ready. We also are going to be covering the Dream Chaser flight hardware that we keep getting little bits of awesome little tidbits of flight hardware coming out of it. This one is going to be thrusters for the Comet, the shooting star module that will be on the back end of Dream Chaser. We'll be covering that. Yeah, we got a good bit of stuff to cover, chat. But first and foremost, let's go ahead and kick things off. Blam! We have this coming in, chat. Due to unfavorable weather conditions forecasted in the area of Dragon Splashdown off the coast of Florida, we are now standing down from tonight and tomorrow's Falcon 9 launch opportunities of Polaris Dawn. Teams will continue to monitor weather for unfavorable launch and return conditions. So, yes, we unfortunately are not going to be seeing, whoops, that's not what I meant to do, just repost. We are not going to be seeing Polaris Dawn tonight, which is really unfortunate. Polaris Dawn, if you're unfamiliar with it, is going to be pretty much the it's going to be a set of 3 missions. This is Polaris Dawn, the first of 3, and the Polaris program is essentially the first fully funded by private funds. Like a single guy is paying for these. Well, essentially, I mean, he's fitting most of the bill at the very least to do all of these missions for essentially a fully commercial flight, which is awesome. And not only that, they're going to be breaking some world records that have been established since the Gemini program. Yeah, back in the 60s. So Polaris Dawn is set to take 4 astronauts into a pretty high elliptical orbit around low Earth orbit, going somewhere around like 200 kilometers by like 1,400 kilometers. To put that into perspective, the International Space Station is typically around 300 to 400 kilometers in altitude. So they're going to be going way up there, over basically 1,400 kilometers. And not only that, they're going to be doing some maneuvers up there with the spacecraft to bring them down to around 700 kilometers, at which point they will then be stepping outside of the capsule, or at least two of them will, on the first privately funded EVA, or extravehicular activity. So that'll be pretty wild. Yeah, they're going to have these astronauts, which are civilians, by the way. They're not like NASA astronauts, they're civilians, going outside of the capsule, which is pretty amazing. Nearly medium Earth orbit, indeed. So yeah, that's what we get to look forward to. Much hype around this mission, and as we learned, they are going to be broadcasting the EVA live, which is going to be absolutely incredible, chat. So really excited for that much anticipated mission, and unfortunately, we have to wait a little longer. Do they just pay for a ticket on this thing? So I don't believe the quote-unquote civilians are actually paying for this. I believe one guy is paying for, well, one guy and probably some charitable donations and things like that, but one guy, Jared Isaacman, who we can actually find here. Jared Isaacman. Yeah, so this is what they're going to be doing, by the way. They're going to be going outside of the capsule, which is pretty crazy. But Jared Isaacman is a entrepreneur who, if I'm not mistaken, created Swift, right? The payment application company, the payment management company. If you have, you know, if you swipe your credit card on a whole bunch of machines, it's usually going through like Swift as part of the back end for managing all of those transactions. So he developed that, or was a, you know, CEO or one of the founders of that company, and made a lot of money. And so he is, I believe, fitting the bill for this, at least, you know, some way through. So no Polaris Dawn launch today. Sorry, just got here. No Polaris Dawn launch today, which is unfortunate. But let me see if we can find on his, that's the static fire. So this was a static fire, just a test. Testing the engines before launch. Yep, so there's the crew. So there's Jared Isaacman, the very wealthy man who also already went into space on a previous Dragon capsule, Inspiration 4, that I believe he also paid for. And then we have Scott Pitote. Can't remember how you pronounce his last name. He's going to be the pilot of the Dragon capsule. We also have Sarah Gillis, who I believe is the medical officer. And then we have Anna Menon, I believe that's yeah, Anna Menon, who is actually part of SpaceX's astronaut training program, or astronaut training department. She's like the director of the astronaut training or something like that. So she's actually going to be going into space as an astronaut on the Dragon capsule, basically to learn what could be improved with the astronaut training program at SpaceX, which is pretty cool. Do we have an alternative launch date? Let's see that right meow. So looking now at our go no go poll in terms of launches, we do still have a Starlink mission here coming up in about 4 hours. We basically actually currently have 2 Starlink missions. So if those actually stick, I don't know if this one's actually going to stick, but this one could very well stick out of Vandenberg, that's out of California, at 2 a.m. Mountain Time, that's 4 a.m. Eastern. That one could be launching. Don't forget, chat, we also have New Shepard happening on Thursday. I would like to get up early and probably cover that, but that remains to be seen. And here we go, Polaris Dawn. If this is updated, I don't know if this is like official, but I believe this could be like the next flight window, since they said not today nor tomorrow, so I guess Friday, until we hear further. No, I'm not muted. I'm good. You're good. We're good. We're all good. So there you go. That is, I guess, the current scheduled alternative date here, Friday, August 30th at 1:38 a.m. Mountain Time. So not bad, chat. Not bad. And then not only that, we have another Starlink mission, chat. So yeah, that should take us all the way through the end of the week. We have basically four SpaceX missions currently on the books. And of course, we have the new Shepard launch, which should be pretty good as well. And we have a China launch. Not that we usually get to see the Chinese launches. Yeah, New Glenn. Also, don't forget we have Vulcan Centaur certification flight number 2 happening ideally in September. But yeah, New Glenn's in October, I think. Yeah, October 13th. Lucky 13, chat. Is the current slated Escapade mission. Escapade is the mission that NASA is actually contracting for this demonstration flight, which is pretty cool. Let's see. Yep. Cool. So that's really what we got coming up. And then we also, of course, have another Vulcan Centaur happening as well this year. We should be having a massive ramp up at the end of the year of new vehicles. New Glenn, we're going to have Dream Chaser, ideally, if that can really pull through here at the end of the year. We of course have Vulcan. Oops, stop it. There we go. So yeah, there should be some pretty good things happening. But anyways, chat. So let's go ahead. That is our look ahead in the future for the next week or so. We have 4 SpaceX missions. We still have Polaris Dawn on the books here for August 30th. That's this Friday at 1:38 Mountain Time, and hopefully we can cover the new Shepard launch and Starship 5. That's true. Starship 5 should ideally, if Elon time comes true, should be somewhere in mid-September. We just got word that the FAA is currently working on their license, or basically their approval for this next upcoming flight. So hopefully we do get another Starship flight here in the next month, which would be wild. But anyways, chat. Anyways, that is what we have here on our upcoming launches. We now need to really figure out just what we're going to do with NASA, chat. NASA cannot catch a break. So, Office of the Inspector General, NASA's management of the Mobile Launch Platform 2, the Mobile Launcher 2. That is a render, chat. Do not be fooled. Actually, is that a render? No, that is not a render. I don't think that's a render. Is that MLP-1 that they're putting? I think that's MLP-1, right? For Artemis 1? That they have on the cover here. So this is not MLP-2, because MLP-2 is not done. So it's definitely not that. I have the wrong date? Oh my gosh, thank you. Let me update that. Thank you, thank you. I will update that right meow. And that should do it. Perfect. Very good, very good. Oh look, a new Shepard. Was wondering earlier today why I haven't heard that name in a while. Indeed, new Shepard should be coming back here with another flight very soon on Thursday. So chat, just to kind of give you, I live in the past. Yeah, obviously I can't. Yeah, future is scary. The MLP-2 or the Mobile Launcher 2 project, like I said, is like 4 times over budget and like 4 years late. Also have replay. Oh yeah, that's true. Man, yeah, you know, I'm just on top of my game, chat. That's what it is. 500 million turned into 2.5. Yep. It's not great, chat. It's not great, okay? But we're gonna read this and figure out why. Well, I kind of already know why. But anyways, why we perform this audit. Development of this mobile launcher is key to, also just a little bit of background. ML2, Mobile Launcher 2, is what is designed to carry the big guy, SLS Block 1B. All right, it's supposed to be for this guy with the, you know, very capable upper stage, the EUS, this guy, right? The EUS upper stage. It's supposed to be for that, because currently we do not have the mobile launcher. Mobile Launcher 1 is not outfitted for the massive thing that is SLS Block 1B here. So that's a little unfortunate. So yeah, without without ML2, we can't launch Block 1B. And so, yeah. Anyways, is key to NASA's Artemis campaign, which seeks to return astronauts to the moon and send crewed missions to Mars. The mobile launcher is the ground structure NASA uses to assemble, process, transport, and launch the Integrated Space Launch System heavy lift rocket and the Orion multi-purpose crew vehicle. The agency is developing a second mobile launcher at KSC to support larger variants, the Block 1B variant, for the Space Launch System. Missions beginning with Artemis 4, scheduled to launch in 2028. Bechtel National, the prime contractor for the ML2 project, is responsible for ML2 project management, architectural and engineering designs, technical integration, fabrication, construction, testing, commissioning, and quality control. Basically, Bechtel is overseeing every aspect of MLP-2's design, development, and verification and validation, V&V. Can you explain why this specific project was done cost plus instead of fixed price like all other projects in recent times? Well, let me tell you what. First and foremost, this contract was initiated, I think, back in like 2018 or 2019, something like that. Actually, it probably says here. The ML2 contract was awarded in June 2019, so it's, you know, already close to 5 years old. The reason why it's a cost plus fee contract is because this was given to Bechtel when the SLS Block 1B requirements were not solidified. So you can't give a firm fixed contract when you don't even know what the end result should be. Cost plus is a good contract method when you have things that you don't know, that are still fluid. Basically, essentially what was holding up the ML2 project is the EUS. The upper stage, the very awesome, very efficient EUS, exploration upper stage, that was supposed to be on the Block 1B. Its design requirements were not solidified at the time of contract award. So, how can you give a firm fixed price when you don't even know what the end result's supposed to be? So yeah. Leftover shuttle technology, Dr. Zubrin says, yep, it pretty much is, yeah. Won't be ready until 2029, fire Bill Nelson, yeah. Unfortunately, it goes deeper. I mean, okay, I definitely get the sentiment, right? Because pretty much when it comes to management, the supervisor's always the one that is ultimately responsible, right? But NASA is such a complex organization, and this was done even before Bill Nelson's time in office. This was back still during Bridenstine's era, back in 2019 for the contract award. I don't know, like it's such a tough one. I mean, yeah, Bill ultimately, I guess, takes the blame, if you will, as being the supervisor, but I don't really know what goes on behind the door, you know, behind closed doors. I definitely agree that NASA should be withholding funds from Bechtel because of this, right? So a cost plus fee, a cost plus contract, essentially says like what happens is Bechtel comes into the proposal process and says, hey, we can build out your Mobile Launcher 2 platform for $383 million based on this scope of work. And then we have, once we fill out that $383 million scope of work, if we need to do other changes and other modifications, we will provide that as an invoice to you, NASA, to then reimburse us for those costs, those unseen costs at the beginning of the contract, right? So it's supposed to, also with typically what's in cost plus contracts is incentives for the company to be better, for the company to actually perform well, whether that's in cost, whether that's in overall performance metrics, being able to move faster, meet deadlines. So like a firm fixed price contract, it can still be milestone based on the payments. So you get whatever the cost is for your development, but then you can get incentives, payouts for meeting certain milestones within certain timeframes. NASA has paid out, with this being grossly over budget and behind schedule, like several million dollars in incentives. And I it's probably in the report. I don't know how, okay? Like, when something is this far behind and whatnot, NASA should be withholding all funding unless it's contractual that NASA gives them the money, right? Like, if NASA, which would, I guess at that point you would blame the contract structure, but like if the contract structure says, hey, we get $3 million for performing this analysis, and they do the analysis, well, you have to give them that money, even if it's, you know, 10 years late. So like, depending on the contract structure and exactly what NASA is on the hook for, ideally NASA should not be paying them any incentive since they are so behind performance. Berger's article said that Nelson did complain to Congress about this project's cost plus contract, though. I think, yeah, maybe felt like Congress pushed for this or something. I don't know how Congress could really do it. I mean, maybe, but I don't know how that works. Like, I would think that NASA just goes to Congress for the award or like the funding allocation, and then they structure the contract based on that funding allocation. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know how Congress would get mixed up in the contracting like that. Yeah, absolutely, RJ, absolutely. Shame Viper Moon Rover got axed. Maybe we could start a GoFundMe to save it. Dalek? Intuitive Machines is looking to purchase Viper and send it. Intuitive Machines, part of the NASA's Commercial Lunar Payload Services program, the one that landed on the moon earlier this year, and unfortunately it tipped over after they had some problems with their onboard guidance and navigation. They're looking to actually purchase Viper and commercialize it somehow and send it to the moon. So Viper might be saved. It's still in negotiations and stuff like that, but yeah. Bum, 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 bum. Yeah, it's pretty awesome. All right, let's continue here. So the ML2 contract awarded in June for $383 million. Bechtel was scheduled to deliver the launcher in NASA in March of 2023. Oh, it's in 2023, so it's more than a year behind schedule. I was thinking it was 2022. August 2022, the contract value had increased to over $1 billion. That is 3 times the amount that they originally proposed, and the delivery was delayed to May 2026. Wow, 3 years behind. With more recent estimates from NASA and Bechtel showing further cost increases and further schedule delays. We've previously reported on ML2 costs and schedule overruns in a June 2022 report, which were primarily attributed to Bechtel's poor performance. Wow, $1 billion. Well, we all know that a couple years into development here, they've had so many problems with ML2. It was overweight by like a lot, not by a small amount. If I recall correctly, they were overweight by like 200 metric tons. 200 metric tons they were overweight, something like that. It was some enormous amount, hundreds of metric tons they did not account for in terms of their mass budget. Yeah. And the reason why they have a mass constraint, right, is because they have a dry mass that the MLP, the mobile launch platform, the big, huge platform that moves the ML, the mobile launcher, right, that was used in the shuttle. What is that? No. This guy, right? This guy has, as hard as it can be to fathom, has a weight limit. Its weight limit, however, is like 13 million pounds. Okay, its weight limit is like, I think it's actually 13 million metric. No, not 13 million. Yeah, it's like 13 million pounds. So yeah, it's a lot. But when you're talking about having a fully fueled, SLS on the platform, and you also have the entire SLS structure, both dry mass and eventual wet mass on there, you can't just have as much mass as you want that has to get moved around. Looking up Rule 24 stuff? What are you talking about? What's Rule 24? Is Vulcan launching Viper? No idea. No, well, I don't know, actually. It's a good question. I still don't understand why this is taking so long. When SpaceX builds a tower plus a launch mount, it takes maybe a few months, not years. That would be because Bechtel. That would be 100% because Betchel. Yeah. But anyways, it's an egregious oversight. Let's call it that. Hey, what's up, Andy? How are you? So what did we find? So this is OIG, the Office of Inspector General for NASA. NASA projects the ML2 will cost over 3 times more than planned in 2019. No, I'm sorry. In 2019, NASA estimated the entire ML2 project from design through construction would cost under $500 million, with delivery by March 2023. However, in December of 2023, already behind schedule, NASA estimated the ML2 project will cost $1.5 billion, including $1.3 billion for Betchel contract and $168 million for other project costs, with delivery in November of 2026. In June, NASA established the agency baseline commitment, the cost and schedule baseline committed to Congress against which a project is measured. The cost and schedule baseline oh wow, okay. Oh, okay, so it's like a model. It's a model that takes into account different projects that were previously done, their schedule, their costs, and things like that. It was a baseline cost model. For ML2 project, so they established that for a ML2 project cost of $1.8 billion and a delivery date of 2027. Ooh. Gross. So they're thinking it's going to be even higher, 1.8 billion with a September 2027 date of delivery. Okay. Despite the oh goodness. So this is where OIG. So keep in mind OIG, it's such a hard one, chat. OIG is typically on the money, at least within certain like values and whatnot, but they typically are on the worst case scenario. But we'll see. Like, they're typically right when it comes to like the overarching theme, but typically they also err on the side of worst case. So we'll see. Can they maybe get someone else to make one for the same price? No, that's they're contractually obligated. It would be up to Betchel to cancel the contract for that to happen, and then on top of that, I don't know how you save this project by building another one. That would just be another, at least $500 million cost. Like, I don't know. It's definitely not that easy, unfortunately. All right, so despite the agency's increased cost projections, our analysis indicates costs would be even higher, due in part to the significant amount of construction work that remains. Specifically, our projections indicate the total cost could reach $2.7 billion by the time Betchel delivers the ML2 to NASA. $2.7 billion. That's wild. With the time NASA requires after delivery to prepare the launcher, we project the ML2 will not be ready to support a launch until spring 2028, surpassing the September 2028 Artemis 4 launch date. Well, to be fair, the way that the whole Artemis missions are going, Artemis 4 won't be launching until 2030 at this point, but we'll see. But that sucks. Is there a point where they can't demand more money? The base of the ML has the primary structure already assembled, and they have several tower core pieces assembled, yeah. Is there a point where they can't demand more money? What, Betchel? I don't know. I don't think... It depends, again, on how the contract is specifically structured. It's a cost plus contract, so if Betchel says we need this to do this, they, to my understanding how cost plus works, have to pay it if they want to get that done. But where they could potentially hold Betchel to the fire, hold their feet to the fire, is in the incentives, right? They can either try and negotiate with Betchel to restructure the contract into, like, say, a firm fixed option. That's been done before. I don't remember what, but it was basically a cost plus contract. Things were taking too long, so then NASA was like, hey, we want to take this part, which is currently under the cost plus contract, and make it into a firm fixed price, right? Like, they could do something like that, but Betchel would have to agree to that, because it would be a contract change, and Betchel would have the upper hand at that point, as far as my understanding, right? I'm not a legalese guy, so I'm not in contracting. So they could potentially do that, or they could withhold any incentives from Bechtel, right? Because like we were saying earlier, cost plus contract typically has like, here, we're going to pay you for what it costs you to do this. And if you do it well, we'll give you some money as basically profit if you want to take as incentives. So they could just say, hey, you know, you're not getting any more incentives from us, you know, until you get your performance back on track. Something, Bechtel history, something, yeah. 2.7 is maybe a bit excessive, bordering on fraud. Yeah, I don't know how this goes. Like, I don't know what can be done in regards to that. I thought it would be a KSP stream tonight. I'll watch this tomorrow and call it night. Have a good night, Andrew. Yep, we'll be back at KSP tomorrow. Only offer bonuses for reaching deadlines. Yeah, exactly. All right. Until NASA established the ABC, the agency lacked a cost and schedule estimate or official baseline for the ML2 project. Cost and schedule estimates from NASA and Bechtel have changed several times and increased significantly over time, making it difficult to identify funding needs. The agency's history of increasing the ML2's cost estimate over time also contributes to our assessment that costs will be higher. Gross. It's just a glass of wine. For additional context, $2 billion is more than ISRO's yearly budget for the next few years. That's crazy, FunkyBot. I did not know that. Why does everyone seem to have better lawyers than NASA? How does NASA verify that Bechtel isn't, say, charging $40,000 for a screw it'll take someone 2 years to wrench? I mean, there are, well, typically there are, as we just saw here, that there's no cost and schedule estimate or official baseline. So, and with that line, I have no idea. Because when I've worked with NASA, right, as a commercial company working with NASA under firm fixed price contracts, typically you have to provide them a very specific invoice for every single piece of equipment that you plan to buy with links that they can then verify for what you're purchasing for. It's basically quotes from companies of the items you're purchasing, or, you know, your labor rates, which are typically standardized under government contracts. You know, basically, if you're having to go to Home Depot, you give them the receipt from Home Depot, right, for them to verify. But for something like this and as complex as this, I have no idea how they do it. It sounds like they didn't, because there was a lack of cost and schedule estimates, no official baseline. Yeah, I have no idea. We also found that Bechtel's performance drove the significant cost increases and schedule delays to the design and development of the ML2. The current contract value of $1.1 billion includes $594 million of Bechtel overruns. Wow. Further, Bechtel's monthly cost report show the company's continued underestimation of the ML2 project scope. See, that is the, I think, in my opinion, the biggest problem with cost plus contracts is that it goes to the lowest bidder, right? The lowest bidder was Bechtel at $383 million. Well, it doesn't necessarily mean they were the lowest bidder, right? But they were at least the lowest bidder with the highest feasibility of completing the project, right? At $383 million. but they grossly underestimated everything about this project, and that's just crazy. That's crazy that NASA pays them incentives for that. Man, this just reeks of poor management and bad contracting oversight. There's no incentive to not lie about their own cost estimation. That's true, I guess. Again, we don't know the specific contract, like how it was structured and all the clauses and stuff, but yeah, this doesn't read well, that's for sure. Bechtel has made progress on ML2 projects since construction began in 2023. The company faces technical challenges that risk further costs and schedule delays. This includes steel fabrication and delivery issues that impacted the construction start date. Yeah, we do kind of have to keep a little bit in mind, at least for the schedule slip part, is that COVID happened and the entire supply chain logistics shut down for like 14 months. So there was that little hiccup, but still, that to me only explains the schedule slip and not the $2 billion over budget projected. But yeah, anyways. To its credit, NASA has taken steps to better manage the Bechtel contract, including removing 6 of 11 umbilicals from the contract and instead providing them to Bechtel as government furnished equipment. Okay, so NASA was like, hey, you know, these 11 things that we wanted you to build, we're just gonna give them to you. Okay, just, we already built them, or we have them in supply or whatever. We're gonna contract it out to another company. Here, it's government furnished. Okay, we're providing it to you. You don't have to do that. Okay. Nevertheless, the agency has few options, with award fees remaining the primary tool to incentivize better contractor performance. In the 9 award fee periods from contract inception through September 2023, NASA awarded approximately $11.2 million out of the available $23.3 million award fee pool. While Bechtel was not paid award fees for period 4, 6, and 7, we question nearly $3 million awarded to Bechtel for periods 8 and 9 despite documented performance weaknesses. See, that's what I'm talking about. So I'm glad to see that NASA at least hasn't paid them all of the incentives that could possibly be paid out, but still, apparently $3 million of that in the time that they are showing their worst performance. That's why. Why? Who is signing that check? Although NASA and Bechtel revised the contract's award fee evaluation plan in March 2024 to add objective milestone-based incentives. Although NASA and Bechtel revised the contract's award fee evaluation in 2024 to add objective milestone-based incentives. Are they saying they didn't have milestone-based incentives previously? The incentives were only... What were the incentives based on then? Just performance? In terms of like key performance indices or something like that? Key performance indices, right? Like, you know, KPIs are usually quantifiable metrics that tell you how good a project is going or how bad a project is going. So for example, if you're building a space system and you have requirements, then one KPI could be your burn rate of those requirements. Burn rate being like verifying each one of those requirements has been met. So you have a burn down, right? So you start off with, say, 1,000 requirements, and over time you verify each one of those requirements, and so that is a metric that can be measured on how well the performance of the project is moving forward. That's just one sort of option, or one sort of example. But so you didn't have any milestone-based incentives, meaning that milestones in comparison to just performance metrics, milestones being like, hey, we hit this key review, or we hit this first tower segment structure completed at this date and time. That's kind of crazy. No milestones. Yeah, they added them. I thought cost plus fee contracts were the cost. I thought the incentives were typically milestone based, but apparently not. I mean, $3 million is a rounding error. Well, arguably not, when it's only supposed to be a $383 million contract, right? That's 1%. It's not a negligible amount. But anyways, I didn't realize that. That's kind of crazy to me. Like me working only in firm fixed pricing, or firm fixed contracts, sorry. Everything is milestone based. You don't get money if you don't hit a milestone, right? Wow, interesting. Okay. ML2 contract also includes an option to request a cost estimate from Bechtel for converting the contract from cost. Ooh, okay. Includes an option to request a cost estimate from Bechtel for converting the contract from cost plus to fixed price. A fixed price contract could provide cost certainty, but the agency has opted to prioritize the mission schedule and maintain a cost plus contract structure. Okay. So they could, so that's actually what I just said not too long ago. They do actually have the option. They would have to go to Bechtel for it. Oh, yes, of course. Am I going to be able to do it? I did it. Yes, chat. I opened up a jar. Hell yeah. The firm fixed contract, so they actually can, but they have to go to Bechtel for it, and Bechtel has to say, hey, this is what it's going to cost us to do a firm fixed price, right? Interesting. Changing the milestones is like Kerbal. I just go from it being no revert save to reverting when I have to. Yeah, yeah. Manhood confirmed. Yeah. All right. What do we recommend, chat? To improve NASA's management of the ML2 project. Ooh, this is a short list. Normally, this we recommend stuff is like a page long with like 10 different suggestions for NASA. There's 2. Okay. Here's what we recommend. 1, ensure lessons learned from the ML2's acquisition, contract, and project management are codified to inform future development efforts. Okay, so that doesn't impact this one. Okay, conduct a thorough analysis of the feasibility of utilizing the fixed price option, and if NASA determines that it will not be exercised, remove the option from the ML2 contract. At first glance, somebody in chat, if you're reading something else into this than I am, it kind of sounds like OIG is saying, you're screwed. There's really nothing you can do. Like seriously, normally in these OIG reports, this what we recommended is like a page long and has like a list of like 20 different things that is recommended to NASA to do. This has 2, and none of them are actually proactive in fixing where ML2 is right now. Just make sure you document the lessons learned and then analyze the feasibility of going to fixed price. But if you can't, then just remove it from the contract. So it sounds like OIG's like saying, good luck, NASA. You screwed up. Interesting. Okay. Well, I certainly don't want to go through everything, like all 42 pages, but I wouldn't mind seeing unsustainable. I want to see, is there a reason for this? Why is Betchel's performance so much in the crapper? How can we build a border wall of hundreds of miles but can't build a launch tower? Because it was contracted to a company who grossly underestimated the scope of the project, and then continues to not learn from their past mistakes, and NASA just keeps fitting the bill for it. That's how. How can you really fix it at this point? Yeah, it sounds like you really just can't. But that's, yeah, I don't know. That's crazy. It's way too late already, true. But it's just funny to see the recommended section, and it's like, yeah, there's you can't do anything, NASA. It's hopeless. Are they designing or manufacturing? They are. Well, I'll read it. I shall read it again. Don't you worry. Because it was kind of okay. So, Betchel, the prime contractor, is responsible for ML2 project management, architectural and engineering designs, technical integration, fabrication, constructing, testing, commission, and quality control. Literally every aspect of it stealthy. Literally, Betchel is doing everything. Yeah. What's up, Costis? How are you? So that, that's a problem right there. That arguably is not great. But yeah. So what's in the background section real quick? Is there anything good? We already read that part. It was awarded in 2010 as part of Constellation. That was ML1. Large scale modifications to support Block 1. The mobile launches consist of a 2-story base structure. The platform to support the SLS and a tower equipped with connection lines called umbilicals. So you can actually see that up here. Right, so you have the tower platform, or sorry, the mobile launcher, the actual platform here, and then the tower structure. 40 interdependent electrical, yeah, the tower. So this is something that's often overlooked in spaceflight, right? In aerospace engineering and whatnot, is the sheer amount of complexity is in just the ground systems, let alone the rocket that flies into space, but just the ground systems to support said rocket is super complex. Umbilicals, equipment, astronauts entering the Orion crew has to have a crew access arm, 40 interdependent electrical fluid and mechanical subsystems. Like it's very very complex stuff. What other projects did Betchel have? I'm not sure off the top of my head. Stage 0, yeah, exactly. Have you seen the video from RFA regarding the testing failure? Yep, I think I retweeted it. Yep. A fabrication factory sold and Betchel couldn't find a new factory in time. Interesting. Weren't 3 of the recent SLS launch delays due to leak issues in the launcher? Weren't 3 of the recent SLS launch delays due to leak issues? Well, if you're talking about Artemis 1, yeah, it had several scrubs because there was a hydrogen leak in one of the ground support side equipments. Basically where they were filling the rocket, there was leaking there. But they were ultimately able to fix that. Do we really need a mobile launch tower? Mobile launcher, what is the benefit? Well, the benefit is being able to, so if you look at KSC, right? Let's see here. Stand by. Is this it? Yes, let's go here. Okay. So if we look at the entire Kennedy Space Center, right? You have this big building in the middle called the Vehicle Assembly Building, right? It's the VAB. This is where SLS is built. If we didn't build SLS here, we would have to completely reconstruct the entire pad infrastructure in order to account for SLS being built on the pad out here, right? So we would have to go to almost something like Delta. Delta has an entire vertical assembly building on wheels that moves back and forth, and they can stack the rocket right there on the pad. But SLS is such a huge rocket that there's very little chance of being able to do that, especially now. That would require a complete turnaround of Launch Complex 39B. So that would be bad. So that's why they build it here, and then they need a way to transport a 12 million pound system to the launch complex. Unfortunately, it's complex because it kind of needs to be with the current way things are set up at KSC. Yeah, just roll a VAB out to the pad. Yeah, what could possibly go wrong? Just make 39C. Yeah, easy. Yeah, just add another one. Yeah, right here, or right here, or right here, or out here. It's all built with the mobile launcher in mind. Yeah, exactly. And part of the reason that the mobile launcher was built was for the Saturn vehicles during Apollo. So we're reusing tech that was built during that time as well, right? Saturn V mobile launcher. I think there's a pretty, yeah, there it is. See, there it is right there. Oh, please tell me you actually have the picture. Why do you show the picture if you're not actually going to have the picture? Oh yeah, look at that. Look at that beast, the mobile service structure. Oh yeah. So yeah. So it's just a move, not a launcher. It's a mover, not a launcher. So there's two parts, right? You have the mobile launch platform, which is the mover, but then you have the mobile launcher, which is essentially this big pedestal here with the tower integrated into it for SLS. So the mobile launcher moves the entire tower, pad, and vehicle that was built and structured in the VAB out to the launch site. So it's basically two parts, a mobile launcher and a mobile launch platform. Or crawler. It's a crawler, right? That's what they call it. So yeah, it's technically two parts, but that's why they need both a mobile launcher, or that's why they need the mobile launchers, because that's supposed to be integrated into that big crawler that then moves it from the VAB all the way out to the pad. What a beaut indeed, right? Yeah, just a mobile VAB, right? Hey Charles, how are you doing? What are we doing? We are doing our space news segment once again, because we got some pretty big info coming from the OIG today, and a bunch of space news in general. We're discussing that at the moment. And right now we're discussing NASA's, for lack of a better word, failure in contracting for their mobile launcher. It's going to be like $1.5 billion over budget, which is fantastic. Move that thing empty, don't forget that. Yeah, exactly, definitely. All right. Modifying ML1 to conduct studies and preliminary design work as part of this effort. However, NASA decided not to use this approach due to technical challenges at the time. Yeah, they've also had problems with ML1. ML1 had issues with some weight as well, issues with tower structure or tower rigidity. It was actually bending and stuff like that, and they had to fix that. So the MLs, unfortunately, are pretty complex, right? So here's ML1, and here's what's supposed to be on ML2. So it's definitely more complex. It's a taller, more integrated system, particularly because of the EUS, more umbilicals and things like that. But yeah, ML2 is unfortunately bringing us down. There's the organizational structure. Moon to Mars Program Office, Exploration Ground Systems Program, Mobile Launcher 2 Project Management, Construction Engineering, and I assume this is all light blue because this is all Bechtel. Interesting. All right, Bechtel's design, build, cost plus award fee contract. 383 million performance period from July to March 2023. July 2019 to March 2023. Due to an aggressive launch schedule for Artemis 4 and using lessons learned from ML1, which experienced contract and performance issues, cost increases, and schedule delay, the agency decided to use a design build approach and award a single contract for both project design and construction. Well, that's telling, chat. That's certainly a reason for why Bechtel is the sole proprietor for this entire project, and why, frankly, it falls all on Bechtel for doing everything, and why they're all behind. Who knew retrofitting ML for Ares 1 for a way heavier vehicle would give you issues? Yeah, no kidding, right? It's almost like canceling Constellation and then just retrofitting all of Constellation's equipment into fitting SLS, a completely different vehicle, was a bad idea. But hey, you know, just one man's opinion. NASA evaluates Bechtel's contract performance on an ongoing basis and develops a formal award fee performance evaluation report every 6 months to determine the award fee score and the amount of award fee the contractor will receive. The award fee, so basically they're scoring 50% right now, right? Because they got like $11 million in all total possible award fees were like 23 million. So yeah, they're scoring less than 50%. Included 8 award fee evaluation periods with a total of 23.3 million in the award fee pool. To accommodate the contractor's extended period of performance, NASA subsequently added 6 more award fee periods, but did not alter the total award fee pool at the time. Okay, but why? I guess if the contract is going onward, but that's yeah, okay. Bechtel has been awarded nearly $11.2 million for approximately $715 million of work. All right, so we have technical. So this is the evaluation. So we have So schedule. They didn't care that it slipped, and they cared more about cost control. Interesting. Does it tell us what they actually got as a score? No. Okay. While the Bechtel contract makes up nearly 90% of ML2 project costs, NASA funds additional activities to support the ML2 project, such as civil servant labor, engineering support, contractors testing, and government-furnished designs and equipment. These costs were $96 million in 2019, but over time have risen to $168 million. So even the government-furnished designs and equipment funding, given as outside of Bechtel, has almost doubled. Has almost doubled there, which is kind of crazy. All right. Cover work from new contract costs associated with the civil service and engineering support contract due to extending the Bechel's contract period of performance. Okay. I want to know what is the root cause here for Bechel's performance being so bad? While agency officials are optimistic about Bechel's future performance, in our judgment, the total project cost may be significantly higher than the baseline. This is due to the continued rate of increases to the contractor's cost estimate to complete remaining work. It won't be ready until 2029. For ML2 project's first 5 years, NASA lacked a reliable cost and schedule effort, making it difficult for the agency to accurately identify ML2 budget. That's crazy, chat. So this is my problem right now, right? And keep in mind, the only way that I've worked with NASA so far is under firm fixed pricing, right? How is it that for something as large as this, they don't have what's it called? An earned value management system, or EVMS. An earned value management system is basically a massive online tool that typically is used for project management, cost scheduling, and schedule oversight. Like, it's actually usually a massive online tool that allows the users to go in and not only monitor what a company is doing, but also allows the company to say, hey, this is what we bought, this is what we bought, this is how much it costs, this is what we did, right? It's an earned value management system. It's basically a massive project management tool. Like, how is that not in use, or is it in use? Because that should, in my opinion, allow them to have the cost and schedule estimation. Like, that's the whole point of that system. But I don't know. I don't get it. Did they not use an EVMS? Like, that's industry standard as far as I am aware. I appreciate it, Dalek. Have a good night if you're heading out. They should punish their profits if they don't deliver. Punish their profits? Unfortunately, I don't think that's how that works. All right. In June 2024, 5 years established the ABC. We already read that part. According to ML2 project management, NASA decided that after the launcher is delivered to the agency, the ML2 project would come to an end. At that point, the ML2 would be integrated with EGS program infrastructure, exploration ground systems program infrastructure, and its operational costs will be funded as part of the EGS program rather than as part of the ML2 project. Does not include the cost and schedule for activities required after delivery. Well, that could be interesting. Well, that's why OIG is saying it's going to be a $2 billion contract. As part of the agency's preparation for establishing the ABC, the independent review team made several adjustments to the EGS program JCL to reflect less optimistic assumptions. Our analysis indicates that ML2's cost could be even higher. So starting off at 383 million, then in May, 682 million. In August, what happened from May to August to require a $300 million cost increase? Like, that's not a lot of time. That's a summer. What happened during the summer that required them to reassess $300 million? That's the entire thing that they almost bid at the very beginning of the project. Wow. Wow. Start of ML2 contract, Betchel's original date to deliver, current delivery date, OIG projected delivery date, Artemis 4 launch goal, OIG projected ML2 ready for launch date. Wow, that is crazy. They didn't even start building. Yeah, well, COVID happened, and I know that pushed everything out, but COVID should have happened here. Well, I guess here, right? Like 682, we already got basically $300 million extra. But then what happened in just 4 months from May to August that, you know, like that's, like what happened in 4 months versus 2 years? That's my question. That's what I want to know. Like, yeah, I get COVID happened, but that doubled the costs here, right? This is after COVID. This is a year after COVID. And then just over the summer, they were like, oh, wait, we're actually going to need to get another $300 million over the $300 million we just increased our budget for. Yeah. NASA has a history of unreliable cost and schedule estimates for the ML2 project. Why? Until NASA established the ABC, the agency lacked a cost and schedule estimate or official baseline for the ML2 project. Cost and schedule estimates for both NASA and Betchel have changed several times and increased significantly, making it difficult for NASA to identify its funding needs, be accountable to Congress and other stakeholders, accurately measure project and contractor performance. Or some most significant contract value and cost schedule estimate changes that occurred prior to the establishment of the ABC. Let me guess, chat. So Betchel underbid the overall contract at 383, didn't understand or appreciate the overall scope of this project, underestimated the amount of materials needed in order to develop the tower to be structurally rigid for the desired mass of SLS, then found out that after they did that or didn't take something into account that they were 400 metric tons over the weight limit or over the mass limit, then had to basically try and find ways to shave the mass down in order to get it within specification for the MLP or the crawler to be able to carry it. Oh god, those weight issues. Like, I don't know everything that happened with those weight issues, but I know that just absolutely was super bad. They're hiring structural engineers? Yeah, I bet. I bet. In January 2021, Betchel began an in-depth assessment of its costs and identified significant potential cost growth. In response to 2 separate letters of concern from NASA, Betchel provided the agency an interim cost and schedule estimate, an updated but incomplete projection of the final cost of tasks when complete. Wow, okay. The estimate included the initial assessments of the effects from Betchel's ongoing performance issues, underestimation of work requirements, and impacts from COVID-19 pandemic. This one I can understand. But underestimation of work requirements. How? Like, how that egregious? And then you have weight issue or like mass issues, and you have to redesign it and all that. Is approximately 1.2 billion. They bid $383 million. And now it's going to be 1.2 billion. Oh, that's so crazy, chat. Adjusted the ML2 contract to account for impacts from COVID-19, bringing the contract value to 625 million. Like that, I can understand. By August, NASA increased the contract value based on Betchel's estimate to over 1 billion. Oh gosh. Betchel completed its cost and schedule assessments and provided NASA with updated estimates. The analysis included an estimate cost to complete contract at nearly 1.4 billion. In December 2023, NASA established the PMB, the budget and schedule plan for accomplishing ML2 contract, at 1.3 billion in November 26 delivery. The PMB was confirmed during the integrated baseline review, and NASA required risk-based review to establish a project performance baseline. Why was that not done sooner? See, that's the thing. Like, I understand things happen. I understand COVID was a problem. I understand they probably didn't understand the scope and all that sort of stuff. Why didn't something like this get developed when we started seeing them have cost overruns? Like, how do you not have a baseline of your expected delivery and costs? Like, why wasn't this done sooner? What information became available, or did NASA just finally say, hey, we've had enough of this BS, you know, we're developing this is what we say you have to do now? But like, why was that bar not set so much higher? That's kind of what I want to know. Interesting. Okay. NASA and Bechtel contract versus estimated costs and delivery dates. That's so disgusting. That was in May 2022. Bechd's internal evaluation. That's crazy, chat. As of June, NASA had increased the contract value to $1.1 billion, which includes $58 million for changes to the award fee evaluation plan. Was intended to hold the company accountable. Okay, well, that's good. So they are trying to say, hey, you're estimating You're estimating 1.36 billion. We're gonna keep it at 1.1. Okay, like they're trying to at least cap it and not just have Bechtel run away with it. Probably why their recommendations are a big shrug. Yeah, I know, right? Just because I'm curious. Yeah, companies want to eat up as much of the budgetary pie as possible, and that's totally fine. Companies are going to do that. That's what a commercial company is driven by, right? Like, that's kind of like the whole. That's one of the problems with contracts, right? Is or like with certain contract structures, is that a company is going to see, hey, you know, we basically have a blank check. Well, we're going to ride that as long as we can. Can you blame them? I certainly can't. That's why firm fixed pricing is in my opinion so much better. But I understand firm fixed pricing is not so good for this. But I'm wondering if this, and they also already talked about it, like changing parts of it to be firm fixed price. And I feel like that should have kind of been what happened to begin with, right? Like, it would have been great had they started off with a cost plus award fee contract until EUS and Block 1B requirements were solidified. And then once they were solidified, there should have been a firm fixed pricing for like, okay, now estimate how much you need to build it for now that we have this, right? Because there was a long duration or a long period of design that was going on for like 2 or 3 years or whatever it was, and then COVID and stuff like that. So it would have been interesting, like, had they started off with cost plus award fee contract and then moved that into a firm fixed pricing once things were kind of narrowed in. But I don't know how easy it would have been to do that, because what happens if SLS Block 1B in the US just gets stuck in development hell, right? Like, you gotta stop, you draw the line somewhere. Bechtel continued to underestimate scope and complexity of the ML2 project. In 2022, we reported on Bechtel's underestimation of the scope and complexity, which resulted in significant cost increases in various cost categories. Based on a review of Bechtel's monthly cost reports, we found that Bechtel has continued to underestimate costs to complete the ML2 project. $1.4 billion. This is over $1 billion more than the original contract award value and nearly 50% higher than the $956 million estimate in Bechtel's May 2022 monthly cost report. Bechtel vastly underestimated the number of labor hours required to complete the ML2 project, and as a result has incurred more labor hours than anticipated. It estimated overtime hours doubled to nearly 850,000 hours. That's double what they actually estimated, reflecting the company's attempts to meet NASA schedule goals. Bechtel reported in 2024 needing 1.7 million more hours than its May 2022 estimate of approximately 4 million. Wow. Okay. Hey, what's up, Shadow? How are you doing? I'm doing pretty good. Other direct costs. The category includes costs associated with equipment, minor subcontractors, estimate costs for equipment, which include costs related to procurement and fabrication of steel, aluminum, wiring, and other construction-related material. Increase from 264 to 395. Okay, indirect costs. Wow, I mean, how are they estimating this project? They have something seriously wrong with their estimation methodologies. I mean, look at that. How do you over or underestimate by that much consistently, right? It's not like they just like had to double it once because they underestimated it once. They are continually underestimating. Like, I know projects rear their ugly heads and new information comes to light, but just how is it this bad? How is it this bad? Bechtel has misestimated its monthly estimates by at least 10% 5 times, resulting in mandatory reporting requirement by NASA. Yeah, good. Further, the most recent award fee performance value. OBS disconnected. Why does OBS disconnect? Well, from Twitch. It breaks Twitch for whatever reason. Interesting. OBS on Twitch side is down, but YouTube is fine. So it's not my interwebs, because YouTube is fine, right? We're still good on YouTube? Reconnection successful. There we go. I don't understand. I don't understand why. Yep, YouTube is fine. Interesting. Okay, well, weird. So it is Twitch. It is Twitch. It's not you, because YouTube doesn't go down, so it's not my internet service provider. How weird. How weird. Okay. So yeah, NASA is trying to get on top of Bechtel's performance. Bechtel's performance and technical challenges pose cost and schedule risks. Despite Bechtel's past performance issues, according to NASA officials, the company has made significant progress on the ML2 project since it began construction. This includes progress on the base structure. In May 2024, Bechtel completed the critical path milestone of jack and set, which refers to completing the steel frame. Yep, there it is. It's a complex system, no doubt. Steel fabrication is a process by which the prime contractor delivers designs to its prime steel fabrication subcontractor, who is then responsible for creating more detailed shop designs that will be used to build the ML2 structure. Steel fabrication is the primary driver on the ML2 contract's critical path. Yeah, we don't want steel delivery impacts. Supply chain issue have affected the procurement of steel, including increased fabrication costs and longer lead times. Okay. Bechtel is responsible for developing issue for construction drawings, which are design drawings for ML2 structure delivered to Bechtel's prime steel fabrication subcontractor. The prime steel subcontractor is responsible for developing fabrication drawings, which are detailed steel shop drawings. Okay. There have been setbacks in steel fabrication process that have impacted ML2's project schedule. As Bechtel continued to work on the ML2 design, it sent incremental IFCs to the prime subcontractor. Once the prime subcontractor created the IFFs and sent them to the steel fab shops, the shops sent back over 3,000 requests for information about the steel design. Ooh. Which suggested that Bechtel's design was unclear to the steel fabrication shops. Wow. Oh no, they're building nuclear power. Oh dear, chat. Oh dear. Like how they're huge, right? Like Bechtel is absolutely massive. They're a prime contractor. Like how what? How do they get 3,000 drawings incorrect or have 3,000 problems wrong with their drawings? Pretty sure they also did the tunnel in Boston. Interesting. Guess they just ran into a bunch of bad luck. I mean, how far does it go though? Like experience, no? Unclear to the steel fab shops. While Bechtel revised its IFCs in response to the RFIs, according to the ML2 project management, the company did not allot sufficient time in its schedule to do so. Goodness. No additional schedule reserved to meet the contracted deadline of May 2026. Additionally, Bechtel has had difficulties managing its subcontractors. So, what does Bechtel do exactly? Does anybody know offhand? Because if they're such a large prime, like I understand, even like Lockheed and Boeing, right? They have subcontractors, that's fine. But if, like, what does Bechtel exactly do? Like, are they just the design and project management, and then they don't actually have any of their own in-house capabilities for steel fab and all these other things? And also, if they are so large and they've done all this before, then why did they use a new subcontractor? Because you would think that Bechtel would go to a subcontractor they already know, ideally, especially if it's like a subsidiary or something like that, and they would know how to build out and construct the IFCs. But they had so many problems that they didn't allot any additional time for having to do these RFIs. So I'm just wondering, like, what? So if Bechtel doesn't have their own in-house steel fab capabilities and they do subcontract that out, which is fine. I'm sure they've had to do this sort of thing before with steel fab shops and whatnot. So do they not have a go-to fabricator? And like, was this all new for the first time? I'm confused by that. Okay. Additionally, Bechtel has had difficulties managing its subcontractors. Project management noted that Bechtel's interactions and business relationship with the steel fabricator deteriorated to the point of dysfunction, resulting in unresolved fabrication issues that impacted the ML2 project's critical path. Bechtel's lack of awareness and oversight of critical second-tier subcontractors responsible for steel fab contributed to delayed construction start date. One subcontractor, which Bechtel allocated 46% of the fab work to, sold all of its shop space to a non-NASA customer because Bechtel's steel fab plan lacked a signed contract with the subcontractor. Wow. Okay. One subcontractor sold all of its shop space to a non-NASA customer because Bechtel's steel fabrication plan lacked a signed contract with the subcontractor. Interesting. So the shop basically didn't have a commitment from Bechtel, so the shop sold that space to somebody else who committed to them. Yeah, Bechtel did not commit to this steel fabrication workshop, and so the steel fabrication was like, okay, well, if you're not going to commit to us, then we're going to commit to somebody who will. Yeah, exactly. They were like, well, how are we going to do this if you're not going to actually contract us and actually have commitment and dollars behind it and things like that? Wow, okay. Moreover, Bechtel did not take into consideration the lack of resources at the subcontractor level, which included an insufficient number of certified welders and amount of shop space. By spring 2023, Bechtel had made efforts to improve its subcontractor management by working with the prime steel fabrication subcontractor to bring on additional second-tier subcontractors to complete fabrication. Good lord. Ooh, this is what I've been interested in, chat. Weight management. The ML2 must remain under a certain weight limit requirement due to the maximum capacity of the crawler transporter. In our 2022 audit on the ML2 contract, we reported that weight management was a significant issue for Bechtel and one of the primary drivers for cost increases and schedule delays. During the design phase of the launcher, Bechtel reported to NASA in January 2022 that ML2's design significantly exceeded its maximum weight limit requirement of approximately 12.4 million pounds. Wow. That is crazy. So just to put that into perspective, 12.37, like them being over, how much were they actually over? Bringing the total projected weight to 12.9. So they're 500,000 pounds over. Chad, do you know how much that is? That's 230 metric tons. 230,000, I should say. No, I'm sorry. It's 230 metric tons. Yeah. It's 230,000 kilograms. It's 230 metric tons. That's not a small amount. That's not a small amount at all. They required 12 to 18 month project delay to redesign. As of March 2024, the ML2's weight was stable, but weight management continues to be a risk that ML2 project manager is monitoring. This is particularly important activity considering the damage ML1 experienced during the November 22 Artemis 1 launch. During launch, the SLS generates exhaust, blast, plume, pressure, random vibration from acoustics, and heat. These loads can cause damage to the launch vehicle, payload, launch pad, and surrounding structures. NASA found higher than expected thermal acoustics and blast loads to ML1. ML2 project management is assessing these lessons learned from Artemis 1 and anticipates the ML2 structure will require some additional strengthening. Well, that's also not good. That was a drop the ball on NASA for their analysis on SLS. And that's just SLS Block 1, right? Not Block 1B. That's going to require further changes. So NASA has made advances to stabilize the ML2 project. Descoping work from the ML2 contract, such as the umbilicals. Minimizing requirements changes. Yes, of course. Improving contract management. Okay. Does this say anything in here? Or an EVMS? No. Evaluation management. Oh, I'm sorry. What is it called, chat? What I said it earlier. Earned value. Wait. By December 2021, NASA had issued Bechtel 2 letters of concern, noting the contractor's poor performance and inability to control rising costs and schedule delays, along with other areas of concern such as the contractor's EVMS system, a contractually required tool for measuring and assessing project performance. So they do have one, I guess. Yeah, it's a contractually required tool. So they do have one, but didn't use it properly, I guess. Oy vey, chat. Oh, here's another one. Wait. Oh. Scored 90 on period. Well, so these are the early periods. Like, understand. One second, chat. My dog was scratching at the floor. Anyways. Laugh out loud. Nope. So very good. Yeah, early periods of performance. Then COVID hit, unsatisfactory, understand. Period 5 was good, unsatisfactory, unsatisfactory. Period 8. They got the maximum, almost the maximum award here. They got a good here and here. Who is evaluating this? Because by this point they were $1 billion over their original estimate and not going to hit they were already past their March 2023 delivery date. How do you get good? How does this happen? Graded on a curve, yeah. Graded on a curve. I don't understand. Like how is this good if by this date right here, this period of performance end date, they're going to be 2 years beyond? Why? That 2-year COVID curve, yeah. Interesting. Oh, where did I see it before? So here, okay, for the next 2 periods, NASA awarded Bechtel nearly $3 million, largely because the company had met several objective areas of emphasis, such as completing a major design review, beginning construction, and obtaining earned value management system certification. So they weren't using it? They were contractually obligated to use an EVMS system and they weren't using it properly? They had to go through the certification process? Bechtel's a 120-year-old company and one of the major construction primes, and they weren't certified in EVMS? So much of this, I'm just so confused. And I don't know, like, is an EVMS system only specific to like aerospace and like DoD contracting? Because to me, that's something that's like, oh yeah, the EVMS system, like that's something that you typically have to be contractually obligated to use. This is so weird to me. Like I said, I am definitely seeing a different side of it from my experience being just a small commercial company. But like, I don't know how the primes do it, but as part of the U.S. Department of Defense, the Defense Contract Management Agency, which has a memorandum of understanding with NASA, is responsible for determining EVMS compliance. So that's what they had to go through. They had to go through certification of using that tool, which they were contractually obligated to use in the first place. Well, chat, that is just wild. I'll link up the report if I can find it. Because that to me is just absolutely crazy. I was using, where was it? Yes, this one. This one? No, not that one. Is it this one? Yes, this one. I'll link up the report if you want to read all of it yourself. We went through a vast majority of it, but that New Glenn GS1 though, yeah, we'll get into that for sure. That's here up on our Go news for sure. But yeah, let's stick to the bad news, chat, and get the bad news out of the way. This next one, these next couple aren't really so much bad news, so to speak. It's more along the lines of we're finally getting some answers on what happened to the Peregrine mission, which is good. If you guys remember Astrobotics Peregrine mission number 1, which was going to the moon, it was their first lunar mission. They suffered an anomaly in their propulsion system during the first one of the first burns on the flight, which is really unfortunate. So let's go ahead and get into that. So yeah, this is Peregrine mission post-mission report from August 2024. This was literally just today posted as far as I am aware. And we're going to talk about valves, chat. If you guys remember, valves are the issue. Valves are typically always the issue with propulsion systems, as we saw with numerous companies so far. It's always the valve, chat. Always. Starliner, prime example. Peregrine suffered a valve issue during its flight. Yeah, valves are tricky, chat. The reason why it's so difficult to develop a reliable valve, especially for rocket propulsion systems, especially for space-based rocket propulsion systems, things that are actually going to go into space, is because they have to be able to manage massive amounts of vibration and loads, different thermal cycles, the vacuum of space, potential degradation from caustic materials such as hydrazine, right? Caustic being like corrosive and really hard to deal with, that will just eat through anything. All of that sort of stuff. It also, don't forget, a valve, right, which is typically designed just to open and close, is not like a single part system. Like typically valves might be at least like 5 different components, and each one of those components have different materials and different way that they react to different thermal loads and different open and close pressures and things like that. So having all of those components be able to fit perfectly together at all flight conditions without breaking and without wearing and tearing, especially in space, is very, very, very difficult. So yeah, if you can't find a valve issue, you didn't even try. Exactly. So we learned this from Peregrine spaceflight summary, their well, not mishap, but their post-mission report. If you guys remember, it launched on January 8th of 2024, and it was designed to carry payloads down to the surface of the moon as part of the Commercial Lunar Payload Services Contract, or CLPS, from NASA. And this is what we want to talk about here specifically. During the commissioning phase, Peregrine's propulsion system was activated. This involved pressurizing the fuel and oxidizer tanks with helium from the pressure tank by opening 2 pressure control valves, PCV1 and PCV2. Upon actuating PCV2, helium began to flow uncontrollably into the oxidizer tank, causing significant rapid overpressurization of the tank and rupturing that tank with leaked oxidizer. This anomaly inhibited the propulsion system from pressurizing to the levels needed for the Peregrine to land on the moon. After the propulsion anomaly occurred, the team stabilized the spacecraft, shifted mission priorities to gathering propulsion system data, and then basically they went around the moon. Actually, no, they didn't even go around the moon because they actually had to do orbit raising maneuvers to get to the moon. But they were able to basically just do a pretty good workout of all of their systems on board, trying to get their TRL level, or their technology readiness level. Basically a metric that says just how much flight heritage your system has working in space. So they tried to get as much data as they could from the flight, but unfortunately they did not get to the moon. So we have here review board analysis and root cause. So after PM1's conclusion, Astrobotics assembled external experts for an incident investigation team and review board to analyze the mission. So they had people from Neil Armstrong, Professor Neil Armstrong Chair from Ohio State University, as part of an independent third-party investigation. The team included a total of 34 government, industry, and in-house multidisciplinary experts. After an extensive review of the events before, during, and after Peregrine's mission, the board concluded that the most likely cause of Peregrine's anomaly was the failure of the singular helium pressure control valve PCV2 within the propulsion system. PCV2 suffered a loss of seal capability, most likely due to a mechanical failure caused by vibration-initiated relaxation between threaded components internal to the valve. So basically, if you guys read any launch vehicle. Let's actually look at SpaceX's SpaceX launch vehicle user guide. Every launch vehicle user guide has basically a portion of what you have to be able to do for the environments, on what you should test your spacecraft to in order to make sure it survives the launch. One of those things is the flight environment, particularly the loads, and definitely particularly all of the harmonics that the vehicle will go through. Sine vibration. Basically, these are the oscillations, the vibrations that your vehicle will see during all phases of flight, and you can see basically the acceleration as well as the frequency for each of the flight profiles of the vehicle. And essentially, you have to make sure that your vehicle can survive these vibrations. So apparently, it seemed like they purchased off the shelf propulsion control valves, or pressure control valves. They purchased them off the shelf. And even though they did go through the acceptance testing criteria after being integrated into the Peregrine land or Peregrine vehicle, Moog valves. Yeah, exactly. No, they suffered an anomaly during launch, and apparently part of the valve that is essentially threaded to allow for opening and closing, and the seal to actually close, stripped essentially from the vibration loads, or came unseated or something like that, and that led to it not being able to close at all. So yeah, that's really unfortunate. To confirm the mechanical failure mode, this is so cool. So you know how after a mishap like this happens, you have to try and replicate it? It's so cool. To confirm the mechanical failure mode, the Astrobotic team replicated the suspected failure mode in ground testing by subjecting a spare flight PCV to similar conditions seen during mission. In this testing, Astrobotics subjected the valve to qualification level shock and vibe, pressurizing cycling, and a final seat force, and then measured the internal leak rate. After cycling under pressurization, the spare PCV began leaking at a rate that was roughly equivalent to the observed during PM1. So they basically tried to recreate the flight environment that this particular valve would have seen integrated into the launch vehicle, and they were able to make it fail again, which is, I find that so cool, being able to like recreate things and confirm it, right? So the events leading to PCV2's failure. If they use qual, it's higher than flight. Yeah, typically. In July 2019, Astrobotic contracted with an outside vendor for the development, build, and test of the propulsion feed system through a competitive selection process based on past performance, cost, and schedule. And they chose incorporated components from spaceflight proven contractors and levied industry standard development processes. In fall 2021, the feed system vendor suffered technical and supply chain issues due to COVID-19 pandemic. These issues were compromising the mission schedule and jeopardizing the next stages of spacecraft integration. So in early 2022, Astrobotic made the decision to terminate the vendor's contract and complete the propulsion feed system in-house. Astrobotic developed the valves themselves. By this time, Astrobotic had already developed in-house propulsion development and test capabilities for a second, more complex lunar lander mission, Griffin Mission 1. From April to November of 2022, Astrobotic incrementally assembled the propulsion feed system and began encountering issues during testing with the original vendor's propulsion components. In particular, PCVs used to control helium pressure into the fuel and oxidizer tanks were repeatedly failing. As the company worked to resolve this issue, it faced the looming threat of missing the committed to dates for spacecraft acceptance. Oh, okay, so they terminated the contract with the vendor, but not before they received the flight hardware for Peregrine. In August 2022, the team made the decision to pivot to an alternative PCV supplier that was already providing pyrotechnic valves for the feed system and could commit to the current schedule. The new valves were delivered and installed. While conducting a final set of leak and proof tests, PCV-1 encountered leaks, while PCV-2 did not. PCV-1 was easily accessible in the spacecraft, quickly repaired, and successfully passed another round of proof testing. Wait, so did they... It says proof testing. That's like pressure testing. Did they not do component level testing on this? Component level testing meaning they did acceptance testing on, or qualification testing on the actual component, the actual PCB itself, before they even integrated it to the lander. Is the supplier under NDA? Probably. Yeah, probably. Because it says the valves were delivered and then installed. There's no mention of them doing component level testing on it until it was already integrated and they were doing leak tests. The spacecraft was then fully assembled into flight config and then did vibration acoustics and TVAC chamber testing and EMI EMC testing. PCV-2 was still carried as a risk because of the repairs that PCV-1 had required. However, the likelihood of PCV-2 failing was characterized as low. Additionally, PCV-2 was located deep within the spacecraft, and removing for additional testing would have had them lose schedule and time required to meet their launch date. Facing the imminent risk of missing launch as well as potentially causing inadvertent damage during disassembly, Astrobotics decided not to disassemble. It's always a balance of risk, chat. It's always a balance of risk. All right. So from the review board, here's the recommendations and corrective actions. The primary PCVs for the future landers have been redesigned to address the mechanical sealing flaw that was seen in failure replication testing. All future valve designs will be evaluated and tested at the component level, specifically for similar mechanical sealing flaws. What'd I say? So they didn't do, I guess, the component level testing, and so as a corrective action, they are now going to start doing component level testing. Well, that's good. What did I say, chat? What did I say? Future lunar landers will utilize multiple dissimilar PCBs to ensure that no single valve failure can result in loss of mission. Yeah, so essentially they had PCB on each line and only one of them. So if one of them failed, you just had your constant pressure and feeding into your tanks. So not great. So now they're going to have redundancy. That's good. Astrobotic personnel have been embedded at key supplier facilities to manage. That sounds kind of like covert. It kind of sounds like espionage. Astrobotic personnel have been embedded at key supplier facilities to manage schedule compliance and quality standards, greater accountability and level of control. In addition to the valve anomaly, the Peregrine spacecraft experienced 24 total in-flight anomalies. In addition to the valve anomaly, Peregrine experienced 24 in-flight anomalies. 8 of these were mission critical, potentially mission ending, all of which were resolved in real time during flight by the company's mission control team. Phenomenal. That's awesome to hear. I mean, it's horrible to hear that you had 8 mission critical failures occurring, but then you were able to fix them in flight, like in real time. Kudos to the mission control team. Those operators, damn. That's crazy. 5 non-mission critical in-flight anomalies were also resolved in real time. The remaining 11 anomalies were deemed minor and analyzed post-flight for corrective actions. Additional quality management personnel have been brought on board, so they're getting their quality control team up. Astrobotics strategically reinforced its workforce by enlisting 2 industry experts, Steve Clark and Frank Perry. Nice. All right. So looking ahead, we have the Griffin Mission 1 as part of CLPS. That should be catered at the end of 2025, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, we'll launch by the end of 2025 aboard a SpaceX Falcon Heavy and touch down on the lunar South Pole. Yeah, Griffin is much larger than the Peregrine, chat. Griffin is much larger. Hey, Zogdor. Heck yeah. I like seeing an old Masson Space Systems concept on the front page of Astrobotic. Reusable suborbital. So there's the Peregrine. Do they not still have the comparison of Griffin? Ah, there it is. That's what I was looking for. It's so much bigger. Look at that. 4.5 meters instead of 2.5. So much larger. Yep. It's big. 625 kilos. 6 times the capacity. Yep. Not bad. I like it. Yeah, I know, Thomas. Yeah, they still have that. But that's really all I wanted to cover here. Some pretty awesome summaries on what they actually performed during the flight. If you want to read the rest of this report, I will link this in chat as well. Blam. But yeah, the failures and then being able to recover from them in flight is awesome. Ooh, Astrobotic Lander TRL advancement on PM1. Heck yeah. So TRL stands for Technology Readiness Level. It's essentially a NASA in particular, but now other industries use it. But it's essentially a mark on understanding just where in your development timeline for a system to go from concept, like napkin drawings concept, like idea concept, all the way to a full production ready system, right? So if you look at like TRL readiness, technology readiness levels, TRL 1 is basic principles observed and reported, basically meaning you have an idea that's perhaps built upon some sort of known physics, for example. And then TRL 9 is actual system is flight proven through successful mission operations. And then you have everything in between, you know, like component level testing and a breadboard, subsystem level development, system prototyping and demonstration. You basically have all of these different readiness levels. So we have the flight controller. Avionics is now fully mission qualified. So we have TRL 8 for the propulsion controller, mainly because the valve controllers were not exercised through extended duration burns. Power systems are TRL 9, the highest. RF comms are 9. GNC, excluding the terrain relative navigation, are high. The TRN is still sitting at 7. Basically 7 is meaning it's ready to be qualified in flight, but it hasn't flown. It hasn't been used in flight yet. Thermal's good and propulsion is good, but not yet fully qualified. But yeah, nice. That's pretty sick. All right, chat. Let us move right along here to ABL. More problems, chat. But this was from a while ago. Let's actually open image and new tab. There we go. So this also being posted by ABL for the Flight 2 static fire update. You guys remember back, I believe in July, ABL did a static fire of their Flight 2 stage and basically had a fire similar to RFA or Rocket Factory Osberg that we covered last week. Essentially losing the vehicle because of a fire on the pad after static firing, which really sucks, but yep, ABL with a nice update on the anomaly. Indeed, it's stagents. That's right. So yeah, on July 19th, ABL conducted RS1 vehicle operations with the objective of a 13-second static fire of all 11 first stage engines. It went through a smooth countdown in a flight-like countdown environment. And they then pulled go with a terminal count at 8:20 p.m. handing over control to RS1. RS1 entered stage 1 startup at T-minus 7.76 seconds. All 11 engines ignited, successfully bootstrapped, entering main stage combustion for approximately 0.5 seconds. RS1 auto-aborted out of the test due to a low pressure reading on engine 10 caused by a faulty pressure sensor. Immediately after shutdown, a fire developed external to RS1's base, fed by fuel leaks from engines 5 and 8. Water and inert gas-based fire suppression systems were able to contain the fire, but were not able to extinguish it. Fuel offload began at T plus 4 minutes and 20 seconds, with LOX offloading at T plus 9 minutes and 20 seconds. Due to Launchpad having no direct water supply, ABL relies on mobile water tanks for fire suppression. While the water system was active, vehicle temperatures were maintained within design limits. Water stores were depleted at T plus 11 minutes and 30 seconds after they were able to successfully empty LOX load, which resulted in loss of fire containment and a progressive loss of pad systems. LOX and fuel offload capability were lost at T plus 14 and T plus 15 minutes respectively, and all stage 1 telemetry was lost at T plus 20. The fire exceeded the thermal capability of the structure and RS1 buckled to the pad. While a majority of plumbing and electrical connections to the launch mount were damaged, the structures of the launch mount and the flame deflector of the ground support equipment behind pad berms were unharmed. ABL immediately initiated its mishap plan, and post-anomaly data review indicates engines 5 and 8 experienced a 4.5 kilohertz combustion instability during startup, in alignment with the expected first tangential mode of the E2 thrust chamber. Inspections revealed significant erosions of the propellant injectors and liners in a pattern consistent with the instability. So basically they had resonance. Essentially they had resonance. When something oscillates at the resonant frequency of your structure, things get exacerbated, right? Like a tuning fork, right? If you ever have played with a tuning fork and you hit it against something and it vibrates, that's because when you hit something, those tuning forks start to process, and it usually hits the resonant frequency of the tuning fork structure, and that's what creates the acoustic vibrations. But that's a resonant frequency. That's a, you know, it's a compounding effect, essentially. Basically the harmonics of the combustion instability, right, are exciting the structure of the combustion chamber, and that combustion chamber is then feeding it back into the combustion instability frequency, and it goes back and forth until something gives. Not great. Not great. You really hate to see that. Yeah. Our current leading theory is that differences in the Block 2 Stage 1 propellant feed system led to a higher energy startup than on the test stand, triggering their instability in 2 of the 11 engines. In 300 plus prior E2 engine tests, we observed this phenomenon only once and attributed it to a separate timing anomaly. Static fire sequence was within our experience on vehicle conditions were in the corner of the start box, where we have a relatively low number and limited duration of tests. Oh man. GSO will return to our Port of Long Beach facility for refurbishment. This is not the outcome we wanted, and it eclipsed the incredible endurance and execution of our team that got Flight 2 just short of the finish line. Yeah, Flight 2 was supposed to launch like a couple months after this. While the campaign ended in anomaly, many key events of RS1 and GSO were validated in the process. We look forward to concluding our investigation and incorporate these learnings into the RS1 program. So, yeah, bummer. A bummer for ABL, but it sounds like they have a path forward. But isn't that crazy, chat? Two completely separate launch vehicle companies. You have Rocket Factory Osberg and now I guess first you technically had AB1 because this was back in July, and then you had Rocket Factory Osberg, both of them suffering anomalies on the pad during a static fire, and both of them having fire suppression systems but inadequate to sustain or to extinguish the fire that was on the pad, and then leaving GS0 leaving the stage in shambles. Interesting. All right, chat. Well, that is going to wrap it up for our no-go news, because we definitely do still have a lot of go news to go, and this should go pretty quick because there's nothing necessarily too in-depth. The biggest one, of course, is going to be the Boom Supersonic flight test, which is pretty incredible. If you guys have not been paying attention, Boom Supersonic is a company that is looking to develop essentially the first, it could be the first, supersonic passenger plane since the Concorde. So they have had their second flight test that actually took their aircraft known as the XB-1 into flight with the wheels up through all flight conditions, or through the flight conditions that they were trying to achieve for this test. And I gotta say, it looks pretty great. So XB-1 had a very good second flight this morning. This was also yesterday. With landing gear retracted airborne for the first time, and the new digital stability augmentation system performing well. If you play Kerbal Space Program, this is essentially SAS. It's not SAS, but it's kind of like SAS in that game. Flight test team will do a thorough data review, then plot the path forward to Flight 3 on the way to Mach 1. Like I said, this is designed to be a supersonic subscale vehicle of what they want to build, which is their Overture. So if you know Boom Supersonic, let's see, they want to develop the Overture aircraft, which is going to be their passenger plane version. Aha, there it is. This is what they want to get to, chat. Piloted, yeah. They had pitch and yaw for flight 1, but added roll for flight 2. Ah, I got you. Nice, 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 nice. Drone or piloted? Definitely piloted, yep. But look at that. It looks very nice, chat. Very nice. But that's where they want to get to, and this is where they currently are. So breaking, XB-1 has completed its second flight test over Mojave Air and Spaceport in California. XB-1 retracted and extended its landing gear for the first time and successly demonstrated a new digital stability augmentation system. We continue to target end of year for supersonic flight. Look at that. Look at that, chat. I don't want to ask Grok. How do I get rid of that? Stop it. But yeah, pretty solid looking vehicle. And of course, chat, of course, we do in fact have a video here from Boom Supersonic. Let's see what we got. There it is, chat. Look at it. Isn't it glorious? It actually looks pretty, it looks pretty clean, I gotta say.
Test control, you are go for brake release.
Fast rotation, good liftoff.
Test control, you are go for gear retraction.
Heavy. Shown 3 up and locked.
Test control, copies, looks like a good retraction.
So smooth with the gear up.
Test control, your go roll damper.
Wait, wait, wait. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Okay, okay. So many things happening here, chat. I'm sorry.
Gear up.
Test control, your go roll.
All right, what do we got here? Nice. You can actually see their instrument panels. You got your nav system here. Here's your map. Trying to see if you can see. So they're at 10,000 feet, going 209 knots. Is that 209 or 299? I think that's 209 knots. Nose is pitched up. It looked like he was flying with a pretty big angle of attack. Probably because this thing is designed to use a lot of vortex lift, chat, and we'll talk about that here momentarily. But yeah, if you see the very stubby wings that this vehicle has, it's probably because the wings are not really designed to be very good at generating lift by themselves, but they actually create vortices off the wingtips that actually help generate vortex lift, which is something that the Concorde did. So if we look at the Concorde wind tunnel, Concorde wind tunnel, chat. Yeah, yeah, yes, that is exactly what I want. Oh, stock photos. I'm not really looking for stock photos. Can I just look at this? I'm not going to steal. Is this technically stealing content, chat, showing it on stream? I don't want to do that. Like, why is that a stock photo? I've seen these pictures before. How do you own them? Son of a gun, chat. Maybe it's in this. No, Concorde. This should be Concorde. So this is Concorde doing some wind tunnel tests, subscale model demonstrations. There you go. So it's hard to see in this. There's a great image of it from like the front view, which maybe we'll see here later. Ah, we will see it. Okay. But essentially the leading edge of the wing here has a big bow. Like if you actually look at the wing from the front, the wings go up and then down. And that, along with the delta shape here, creates vortices over the top of it. And you can kind of see that squiggly line here going over. Those are the vortices. And essentially what that does is it actually creates circular flow over the wings to basically add energy into the boundary layer of the air flowing over the wing. And so what that added energy does is creates more lift than what you would otherwise be able to get if you had no vortices over the wings. So that's how you can get really, really small wings, which is fantastic for supersonic flight, but also allows you to fly at subsonic speeds as well, which is really, really cool. Let's see if we get to the front view. Ah, there it is, chat. You see that? You see that circular pattern? Oh, that's so cool to see. So I'm pretty sure that the XB1 does something similar. Low pressure over the wings. It's not so much about low pressure over the wings. Like that's a common common incorrect assumption of what generates lift. Essentially what generates lift is just conservation of momentum. You have airflow going over the wings, and usually the wing is also designed to then push the airflow down as it comes off the trailing edge, and that pushing of the airflow down pushes up on the wing as a conservation of momentum. But yeah, that's what I'm talking about here. You can see it in real time coming off. Oh, look at that, chat. Isn't that awesome? Yep, and here's the side view. You can see the vortices here. But that's what I'm talking about. So I'm pretty sure there's a great landing shot of this actually generating it. Actually, I think it was on what I just showed, if I'm not mistaken. Here? No, not here. Here. Yeah, look at that, chat. There you go. That's it on landing. Look at that angle of attack on landing. That's like space shuttle landing angle of attack, right? That's sitting up here. That's like 10 degrees. It's flying this way to land, but its nose is pointing up this way. And then, yeah, you can clearly see the vortices coming off the wings as the smoke from the tires get caught. Ah, that's so cool. But anyways, let's continue.
Roll damper.
Oh, roll damper.
I'm happy with what I'm seeing from the damper so far.
So yeah, that's the digital stability augmentation system they were talking about. Oh, if you didn't, ooh, yeah. Oh, you can see it again. Oh, wait, we gotta go back. Wow, there's so much in this video, chat. Holy cow. It's so fast. I gotta pause it at the right time. There you go. Look at that. So the thing about the XB1, and if you guys remember Concorde had the droop snoot, right? The entire nose of the aircraft would basically angle itself down, allowing the cockpit to be able to see over the nose. Because again, this thing lands like this. It points the nose up. Same with the Concorde, because it uses a massive delta wing, and delta wings in general do not fly well at subsonic velocities. Do not generate a lot of lift. So you need a lot of angle of attack in order to generate enough lift in order to land nice and safe. But look at that. You see that, chat? He's like 10 degrees pitched up right now, maybe like 8 degrees pitched up. But they have a massive camera. Actually, I think they have multiple cameras inside of the nose, allowing the pilot to be able to watch the camera to actually line up for the runway and see it. Yep, the snoot that drooped. Exactly. Black Shoal has mentioned that XB1 will be retired after the test program, with them moving to XB2. Going to guess it will be flight articles with a Symphony engine to get flight data for the ahead of Overture. That's cool. That's pretty cool. But yeah, XB1, pretty awesome. Oh, look, he's got the simulated flare go around open up on his reference manual there. Sweet. Look at that. Oh. Let's see if we can see it. Look at that. Oh, you see it come out. So the smoke from the tires is getting, is bellowing up off of the runway, and it's getting caught behind the wake of the aircraft. And you can see it actually touch the, get caught into the wingtip vortices, which is so cool. Look at that. Nice. Yeah, I saw that. I think I actually have that right here. Well, no, not this one. This is another video, though. This is during takeoff. Oh, that sounds nice. Hey, look! Boeing 747 graveyard, chat. Man, look how pitched up that thing is just to be able to climb. I wonder if the X-59 will land. with a high angle of attack, most likely. Nice. Ah, so good, chat. Oh, it's so good. I really dig what Boom is doing, if you couldn't tell. And then, yes, this was the separate version of this video. You were on a 747 yesterday? Nice. God, that lands so fast, chat. That reminds me of the XB-37, or the X-37B, sorry. X-37B landing. This one? I think it's this one that has it.
Champions Big Window Sale is
Ay,
back.
gross. Stab it. I think it switches. Yeah, here it is. Watch this. Here's the XB-37, or X-37B, gosh. That's a space plane, by the way, chat. That's a space plane. But yeah. Even doing AMAs while he's flying somewhere, that's awesome. That's cool to know, Thomas. Oh, that's awesome. But yeah, that's the X-37B. But then we get this guy. Is it just me, or did that look a little hard? He kind of bounces a bit. Boop. Boop. Gosh. That's crazy. That's a crazy vehicle. All right. Not bad, chat. Not bad. All right. So, moving right along here. Like I said, we have a bunch of recent showings of all of the spaceflight hardware. You do that in KSP, we're scared. Yeah, I understand. So look at this. So this is coming from Dave over at Blue Origin. He's the CEO there. He's been much more transparent recently, which I am very much loving, chat. GS1. This is the New Glenn, stage 1. Heart is the aft module, which contains most of the stage's avionics, hydraulics, fluids, pneumatic systems, and landing gear. Its primary purpose is to distribute the thrust load from our 7 BE-4 engines to the rest of the vehicle. Up next, integrating all of the BE-4s. All 7 engine builds are complete. 2 of the wing strakes and the base heat shield panels that protect the engine from re-entry. Look at that, chat. Look at what we got. That's flight hardware, chat. That is flight hardware. They are. You can see the bottom of the first stage tank structure, and they're adding in the aft module, and they're integrating it here. But this is where all the engines, this is where all the hot stuff are going, and you can see the, wow, look at that thrust structure, chat. So the thrust structure, right, is basically the component, the actual structural component that the BE-7 engine will integrate into, and then be able to distribute the loads to the outer shell and then into the entire structure of the rocket. But look at that. That is beefy. 7 compartments for 7 engines. I assume you also have this for a follow-up. Oh, yes. Actually, do I? No, I don't. I don't. What does he say? I don't have this. The update is appreciated, but it would be great. Oh, I did see this, but I didn't see that he responded to it. So yeah, Jeff Faust asked, the update is appreciated, but it would be great for Blue to share more details on the work remaining for the first launch that's only about a month and a half away. Remember, October 13th is their current, like, no earlier than date. Dave says, still lots to do, but progress. A bunch of milestones coming up in quick succession, not an exhaustive list. Engine integration, our landing barge arriving, hot firing second stage, and yes, lots of unique challenges as our first flight, but folks are excited and learning in big time. That's awesome. I'm really glad that Dave is starting to be more transparent with New Glenn. Hey, what's up, Element? How are you? That's not the thrust structure? It's not? It totally looks like it. Okay. How do we know? How do we know? That will hold seals for around the engines. But then where is it just deeper inside? Because you don't really see any thrust structure. Oh, okay, I do see it there. Ah, you're right. You're right. You are right, my friend. There you go. I assume that's one. Yeah, I'm not sure. You should be able to see them. Where they're going to integrate into in order to distribute loads to the entire rest of the vehicle. That is some beefy structure, though. All those cross members, you can see them go running all the way out to the structure of the actual vehicle. That is one. Interesting that you can only see one from this perspective. Because if this is perspective, then it should be for, I assume, this one. But then you don't. Oh, is that another one right there? That is another one right there. Enhance. Chat, enhance. Chat, why are you not enhancing? Tease it. Go to manual. There's the one. Oh no, that's just the. Is that one cross member with the part right there? I don't know. Hard to see. Needs to support re-entry shielding. That's true. That is true. It does need to support re-entry shielding. That's so cool to see this flight hardware, though. I'm really glad Blue Origin is being more transparent about New Glenn. Awesome. But yeah, this is definitely the big one. This is flight hardware. Flight hardware for the demonstration mission. Remember, the demonstration mission is sending things on the Escapade mission. If you guys don't know what the Escapade mission is, it's sending multiple spacecraft to the Red Planet. Now, keep in mind that these multiple spacecraft are in total like 180 kilograms. New Glenn can reportedly be able to lift 45,000 kilograms into low Earth orbit. So, 180 kilograms, 45,000 kilograms. It's only several orders of magnitude difference. Why are we not loading? There we go. Yep, see? There you go. Two small sats, 180 kilograms headed to Mars. Very small indeed. No paint on the engine section. Oh. Yep, that's a great render. Will look like this, but without paint, yeah. Cool. Didn't we see a render recently where it was like brown? Where was it? Aha! Here we go. Yeah, wasn't it like this color? Oh yeah, and this color. Yeah, no paint, yeah. Yeah, the brown is the thermal protection system. Yep, makes sense. I really dig it. I cannot wait for New Glenn, chat. New Glenn seems like it's going to be a real powerhouse. More capable than Vulcan, which is kind of shocking to me. Vulcan's awesome. New Glenn's going to be awesome. Starship, when it becomes operational, is going to be fantastic. But yeah, this is real flight hardware set to launch in just a couple of months. And from there, ideally being able to enter the market at a regular pace from there. New Glenn is going to be a monster. 45 metric tons to low Earth orbit. That's 45,000 kilograms. To put that into perspective, Falcon Heavy can only launch 24,000 kilograms into low Earth orbit. So it's twice the capacity, almost, of Falcon Heavy and what it can do. Now, is that reusable, Thomas? Is that the reusable numbers, or is that like just raw lift capacity? Or do we just not even know? That's just the number they're throwing out. But yeah, it's going to be phenomenal. So, really happy to see more flight hardware coming through. The GS2 will have like 1,400 kilonewtons of thrust. Yeah, the upper stage. Ooh, it's going to be good, chat. It's going to be good. It's going to be good. Also, we have this, chat. More flight hardware. This is Firefly Aerospace's Blue Ghost. Blue Ghost is the designated name for their lunar lander. Their lunar lander is set to launch here fairly soon as part of the commercial lunar payload services contract or CLPS, just like Peregrine that we talked about earlier, just like Intuitive Machines. They also have a couple of contracts from NASA as part of CLPS, and it's set to launch by the end of the year, if I'm not mistaken. And currently, they are doing their environmental tests, or they're preparing it for the environmental test, which they'll be sending it out to, I believe, JPL, who will do their actual environmental acceptance tests. And then if it all goes well and passes JPL's environmental acceptance tests, it will then be shipped out to Kennedy Space Center for launch on, actually, what is this launching on? Falcon Heavy? Is this one launching on Falcon Heavy or Falcon 9? I don't remember, but it's, yeah, actually, we could probably just read it and weep. Let's see. So they are sending it to JPL. Yeah. Blue Ghost lander. Falcon 9, yes, for the 4th quarter of this year. So it's launching on Falcon 9. But yeah, Blue Ghost. This is a vehicle that was actually designed in part by some engineers that did the Israeli Bereshit lander, which unfortunately had their landing attempt and ultimate unfortunate not landing several years ago. So it looks very similar to the Bereshit lander from Israel. But yeah, this is set to launch here this year. Another lunar lander going up. If that's reusable, what's the estimate for expendable? Indeed, that exactly, Element. I don't think that they would ever want to fly. I don't think they would ever want to necessarily fly this in an expendable mode. Because if they can do 45 metric tons right now in reusable mode, I struggle to fathom that they would ever be mass constrained for any mission that they do. Because if you think about it, the largest geostationary satellites to date are only on the order of like 11 metric tons. And that's like unheard of. Like typically they're, like 6, 7, a few are like 10, 11, some are 12. They're nowhere close to 45 metric tons. And that's for a geostationary system. And typically satellites have been trending into smaller. Now with Starship coming online and New Glenn, maybe that will shift. Maybe there will be. I know K2 Space, you guys don't know this commercial company, K2 Space, I believe just won a multi-million-dollar StratFi from the DoD to develop super large spacecraft to take advantage of Starship. Yeah, they want to develop like massive multi-metric ton vehicles to actually go into Starship, which is pretty cool. Do they actually have more information about what they're developing? I'm not sure that they do. But they just recently got a ton of funding from the DoD for this. But yeah, they want to develop very large systems, like extremely large systems. Like I said, like Starship class systems. So maybe with companies like that coming online, New Glenn maybe eventually will become mass constrained, but I don't see that happening in the near future. Blue also has Blue Ring, which can be a kickstage source. That's true. That is true. Yeah. But anyways, really good stuff there. Really good stuff here coming from Firefly Aerospace. We also have this from good old Peter Bick. Peter Bick out of Rocket Labs, rolling out some of the first Archimedes engines. Archimedes engines is going to be what powers Neutron, Rocket Labs' near future heavy lift vehicle. Or I guess, is it technically medium lift launch vehicle? But yeah, much larger, chat. Much larger than their Rutherford engines on the Electron. Neutron is what? Neutron's like massive capability keeps like going up. What are they capable of? Like 20 metric tons or something like that? Oh, 1300. Okay. Who was it that like scaled up their? Oh, Terran. Right? Terran from Relativity. Didn't they scale their system up to be like over 20 metric tons to low Earth orbit? Oh, why are you so zoomed out? Stop it. Stop it. So this one from Terran R Press release, media kit. I just want to know what's your, so it's 18 feet, 5 meter diameter, 23 metric tons to low Earth orbit. Yeah. So that's what I was thinking. But yeah, so Neutron is going to be 13 metric tons to low Earth orbit. Just to put that into perspective, their current Electron launch vehicle can only get like 350 kilograms. 350 kilograms compared to 13,000. So they are scaling their vehicle up a lot. And so Peter Beck is now showing us what their Archimedes engine, which is going to be powering the Neutron vehicle, is going to look at like. Would be medium, yeah. That would certainly be a medium lift vehicle. But yeah, now compare that to Raptor, right? But this is their first go. These are obviously the engineering models, but looking pretty stellar in my opinion. So engines rolling off to production just like they should. Oh no. Oh my god. Why is Twitter such a crapshoot? What? How dare you? How dare you say this? Like, yes, SpaceX has spoiled us with engine aesthetics with Raptor 3, but come on. Oh, that's absolutely crazy. Oh my god. Oh, I can't. This thread? Why? But actually, unbelievable. Nope, I'm closing that immediately. But hey, we got some fantastic flight hardware for Neutron. Twitter being Twitter, yeah. That's crazy. Still hard to wrap my head around. New Glenn able to do a possible rideshare of multiple geosats. Yeah, it's gonna do the same as the Silda module from Ariane. Not shopping. Nope, I don't want to buy one. There you go. See, it's basically just a big conical structure that fits around the first payload and basically brings up a new payload attachment fitting for another one to sit on top. So it's going to do something like this. Just another conical structure that kind of goes around it. You can see it here. See, you can see it on the inside as they're encapsulating. Yeah, there's the actual picture of one. Dual PAFs, yeah, essentially. I mean, so like the bottom payload, right, will have its own payload attachment fitting, and then this is Ariane 5. They call it the Silda module. So the Silda fits on basically the structural skirt of the upper stage and translates the structural load of the system on top through a separate payload attachment fitting to the outer conical shell here of this carbon fiber Silda module, which then puts it into the rest of the rocket. Can't buy an Ariane 5 anymore. True. Yeah, off the line, off the production line. But yeah, hey, look at this, chat. We have Shooting Star Cargo Module flight hardware. This is going to be the biprop thruster system. You can tell it's biprop by the way that it is. This is going to be the thruster system that the Dream Chasers starship. God, what do they call it? Shooting Star. There's too many stars in the game, chat. Shooting Star Module Dream Chaser. Images? Yep, this guy. See it? See it on the back there? Picture. There it is. Nope, I don't want that. Oh, yep. You can actually see a mock-up of it there. But essentially, it's just a big conical pressurized cargo capacity. And it also acts as a service module. So it's this component right here. So Shooting Star has external capacity for unpressurized payloads, basically like Dragon's trunk, right? It could be CubeSats, it could be other unpressurized cargo for the ISS, and then of course it's a big pressurized trunk, if you will, that allows for internal pressurized cargo, and this provides the power systems as well as some of the propulsion systems as well. New Glenn. Yeah, oh, there you go, nice. Yeah, perfect. Yeah, look at person for scale, please. Look at person for scale. So that's a big GeoBird for sure. That is very, very large, chat. Nice. That's cool. Yeah, I can't wait for something like this. New Glenn is going to be so good, chat. I can't wait. It's going to be absolutely sick. But yeah, not bad, right, chat? Not bad. So we have more flight hardware. This one coming from Dream Chaser that should ideally, unless things change, fly by the end of this year. So that's going to be good. All right, chat, moving right along. Of course, we are going to, let's see, actually, what do we have on our list here? It should be coming up on the end with our other way, aerospace media of the day, chat. That's what we are going to cover here, right meow. First and foremost, you guys like the F-22 Raptor? I like the F-22 Raptor. This came across my X feed today. Multiple F-22 awesomeness being displayed here. Woo. This is coming from aviation. Look at that thing just drift in the skies, chat. Just drift. Florida man. You can tell it's Florida by the way that it is. Ah, so good. Full afterburner. Heck yeah. And that's not all, chat. We have more. Thrust to weight of yes, absolutely. We have another one. Here's another one, chat, for your viewing pleasure. Ooh. Ooh. Nice and slow. Nice and slow, chat. Hey, that's pretty good. Yep, I like it. And DMCA'd. Maybe Lockheed should get in the space rocket game. Maybe. Video from a couple years ago. All right, look at that, chat. Look at it in all of its glory. Yeah, 22. Where's this coming from? Phantom of the Raptor. F-22 filmed at 1,000 FPS from Dustin Farrell. Okay. Let's check it out. Woo! Woo! Imagine the G's? Yeah. Imagine. This thing, right, isn't this thing rated for 9 Gs and it will not let the pilot command more than 9 Gs on the aircraft? And it's not because the aircraft can't do more than 9 Gs, but it's for pilot safety. Yeah. Look at that. F-22. Man, it is so sad to think that this is going to retire. You know? It's going to retire for the F-35. Well, eventually. I don't know when that will be. But this is from the 1990s. Still arguably absolutely the best aircraft ever conceived in terms of its role as a fighter interceptor. Like, not only is it pretty stealthy, it's also incredibly maneuverable. And also very fast. Can't it do can Raptor do like Mach 2? It's a little bit faster than the F-35, right? F-35 can only do like Mach 1.7 or something like that. But yeah, the Raptor, chat. Raptor's pretty good. Pilot can't handle more than 9 Gs. That's right. That's right. So hot. But yeah, so that was for your viewing pleasure, chat. And also we have one more thing to end it on a good rocket note. Here is my selected picture of the day coming from Stoke. Can I just go out on a limb and say that I think Stoke Space has the prettiest plume of a rocket engine to date. Yeah. Look at that. That is, this is from July 4th. From July 4th from Stoke Space. This is one of their engines. Yep, this is Stoke. Doesn't that just look lovely? You're stoked for Stoke? Me too. Me too. Raptor will super cruise without afterburner. Isn't that wild? Yeah. But yeah, this was my selected rocket pick for today. This is what I selected, chat. Hope you guys enjoy it. But yeah, Raptors, rockets, a little R&R for you, chat. A little R&R. But anyways, that I think is going to wrap it up for this particular space news segment on episode 3. This is episode 3 of our go no-go poll news segment. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. Covered as much as I could of NASA, covering aviation. We had XB1 from Boom having a successful flight test. We have so much space hardware happening, chat. So much space hardware coming online and being shown to the public, which is fantastic. The transparency that's coming out of aerospace systems or aerospace companies. Really, really dig it. But chat, that is in fact going to have to do it for me tonight. We're just going to do a slightly shorter stream since we could not get Polaris Dawn in on the action tonight. So that is going to do it because I got work in the AM, and without Polaris Dawn, well, I'm sorry, I can't stream. I can't stream anymore, chat. So was lurking, but thank you. It was a nice and informative stream as always. My absolute pleasure. Hope you guys enjoyed it on both the Twitch and YouTube side. But that's going to do it. So I'm going to, on Twitch side, send a raid over to EJSA, who for some reason is still obsessed and playing Workers and Resources. But hey, go give that man some support because he is trying to pull his communist, his very informed republic out of the Badlands for his... He's suffering in monetary resources, last I saw. Anyways, I'm out. Have a good one. We'll be back here tomorrow starting at 7 p.m. Mountain Time. And we'll be getting back into some Kerbal chat. Back into some Kerbal. So much love. Talk to you later.